The transition of going from a hobbyist photographer to becoming a professional photographer is a big transition. It's a lot that goes into it that if you are new and you're trying to become a professional and start making money, you're probably not thinking about a lot of things. And I just think it's some things that you should know about if you're trying to go that route. So I've been a pro photographer for years, and actually me and my wife, we ended up shutting down our photography business last year. For many reasons, I'm not going to get into that too much, but I will leave the video in the description down below, so watch that after this video. So we no longer really have that photography business. We're not actively seeking out clients, but we still do paid gigs from time to time, and we just work on projects that we really want to do. So I have a lot of experience in this area, and I just want to share some things that I wish I knew before I became a professional photographer. So if you're new and you're thinking about getting into paid professional photography, this video is for you. All right, so let's get into the first thing I wish I knew before I became a pro photographer, and that is the best marketing you can do is networking and building connections. And I have this number one because when I got really serious about taking paid gigs, me and my wife thought the best way to market ourselves was social media, and I think a lot of other photographers think that social media is the best way to market themselves, and some people even think that that's the only way. And I'm not saying that social media marketing doesn't work, because it does. It's something that we leaned into, but I wish I knew more so just the power of just getting to know people, networking, building those connections with people. I feel like can just take you so far, and it really sets you up for success long term. So this is something that I started to understand like years later, and like even now I see that, you know, some of the best photographers in my area that I see, they know a lot of people. They have so many connections, and they're able to get jobs just based on the people that they know and just from all the connections that they have. And honestly, I think a lot of photographers don't really lean into networking, building those connections, because I know some of you have even mentioned that you're introverts like myself. So that's the thing that kind of kept me away from the networking and building connections, because I'm not a big people person. You know, you really have to put yourself out there, talk to people, get to know them. And it's not really my thing. But I would say if you're really trying to build up your business and you're thinking long term, you want to do this for a long time, focus just on meeting people and just building different connections and networking. All right, so the second thing I wish I knew is you need to experiment before niching down. Now, I think if you niche down too quick, I think that can be a mistake. And I'm just talking from experience, because you may start to realize that you don't really like that type of photography. So I think in the beginning, it's really important to try multiple types of photography. And I think as photographers, we just hear so much niche down, niche down. And that's actually something that I preached a lot in my older videos, which I do think you should kind of niche down at a certain point, especially if you want to make more money, and kind of, I feel like it helps you stand out as a photographer. But in those beginning stages, it's very important to just try different things, because you have to see what you like. And I think if you niche down too quick, you may realize that you don't like that form of photography like you thought you liked it. And an example with that is, you know, years into photography, my wife and I, we niched down into wedding photography. And, you know, after doing that for a little while, it's like, did we really want to do this niche? Like, I enjoyed certain aspects of wedding, but honestly, it wasn't my favorite type of photography to do. So just kind of thinking back, I think we kind of forced ourselves into a niche too fast without even realizing, is this what we really want to do? And just thinking with that long-term type mindset. And that brings me into the third thing that I wish I knew, and that was thinking long-term. This is very important just when it comes to any business in general. You need to have that just long-term vision, that long-term mindset, because if you just think short-term, I think you're going to make a lot of mistakes. And I think it's going to put you in a position to where you're going to struggle even more long-term because of those short-term decisions that you made. An example I want to talk about is pricing. For example, like we were at stages to where we were mainly just focused on getting the clients, making more money. And because of that mindset, you may even kind of stay in that price range, because you're like, okay, this is working. I'm getting clients from this. Let me just keep doing this. But you're not thinking long-term. You're not thinking how this is kind of damaging your business long-term, because you're staying maybe at a too low of a price just because that's working and you're getting clients. But when you think long-term and setting yourself up for success, it probably would be smarter at a certain point to raise your prices to attract the clients that you really want to attract in the future of your business. All right, so the fourth thing I wish I knew is taking good photos isn't enough if you want to make a lot of money. Now, this is something that humbled me pretty quickly because I got to a point to where I'm like, okay, I'm really good at this. I take very high quality photos, but then when it comes to the business side and making money, you may see that, okay, I've really gotten my skills up, but it's not translating when it comes to making money in the business. And something I would do, and I'm sure a lot of you have done this too, is you may even compare your photos and the quality of your photos to other photographers. And something you may say to yourself is, how do they keep booking all these clients when my photos look better than their photos and I'm not really booking clients? And you're going to reach a point to where you just come to the realization that good photos isn't enough. The quality of your photos, it matters, but it's just a small portion of what really matters when it comes to getting clients and making money. The thing that really matters when it comes to making money from your photography, and this is where a lot of photographers get stuck on and where they fail at, and that's the marketing aspect. Marketing is everything when it comes to any business and making money with that business. You need to know how to market your services. You need to build a strong and solid brand, and you need to be good at sales. And that's something that I realized pretty quickly, that the photos are not enough. There's so many other aspects that a lot of people don't think about, and that main aspect is marketing and sales. And if you can get really good at those skills, you're definitely going to see an increase in the clients that you're able to get. The fifth thing I wish I knew is to not invest in paid marketing until I've built a solid brand. And this is so important, guys, because if you don't have that solid business foundation and build a solid brand and you're investing in paid marketing, that's pretty much just wasting money. And that's something that I did in our business. I started running Facebook ads too early. Looking back, just wasted so much money running ads at a time to where we didn't really have a solid brand yet. We really understanding our target audience, really getting our offer down and our services, and just building a strong personal brand that people connect with and they wanted to work with us. Okay, so the sixth thing I wish I knew is there is a lot that goes into being a professional photographer, and you're gonna wear many different hats. If you're getting into being a professional photographer and you're going into it just thinking about just taking photos and that's the only part that you're thinking about, you're gonna be in for a rude awakening because you're gonna find out very soon that there's so many other things that go into it, and there's so many different hats that you're gonna wear. You have to be the graphic designer, you have to understand taxes, you need to understand copywriting, building up your website, sales, marketing. It's so many things. This is something else that humbled me real quickly as we started to, grow our business. It's like, man, it's a lot that goes into this. You're gonna spend a lot of time on those things. And honestly, you're gonna spend more time on those things than going in the field and taking pictures. So if you don't wanna deal with all those different things and you don't wanna take the time to invest and learn about those things, I would say do not become a professional photographer, because you're not going to make it. Those things are really what's going to determine your success. Of course, pictures matter, but you have to understand the business side, the marketing side, the branding, the sales, all that stuff. All right, so at number 7, I have to keep working on your mindset. Y'all, this is so important. A positive mindset, and if you continue to work on this, it's going to take you so far with your professional photography. One thing for sure that you shouldn't do is you shouldn't take things personal. And I think I talked about this in the I Quit Photography video, but it's just like, you can start to where you just take everything personal, things that clients say to you when clients are booking other people. Like, you can get in that mode to where you start taking all that stuff personal, and it can really affect you. You really have to learn to separate your personal feelings from the business. And I would say that's a big lesson I learned, is to not just, involve my personal feelings so much in any business that I'm doing, because I think it's just a bad mindset and it's going to lead to you not wanting to do it anymore. And also when it comes to your mindset, like not being so hard on yourself, which is something that I do that a lot, and just thinking positive thoughts, even when things aren't going your way and you're not exactly where you want to be at with your professional photography. What you think is powerful and real, and if you think negative and you think that you can't succeed, you think that you're not going to get clients, all those types of thoughts, those things are going to translate to what you're doing, and it's going to show. So make sure that you're thinking positive thoughts and you're constantly just working on that mindset because it's very important. Okay, so the 8th thing I wish I knew is to don't let the fear of making mistakes hold you back. Looking back, this is something that held me back in a lot of situations, just thinking about what people would think and having those thoughts of what if I do this and it doesn't work and it fails, and maybe I'm posting it online and people see that it's not working. Like, those were kind of thoughts that ran through my head. Maybe those are thoughts that you have, but those thoughts can be scary, and you may shy away from doing those things just because you don't want to seem like a failure, or it's just hard to see you trying to do something and it continues to not work. And honestly, if you're failing a good amount, that's actually a good sign that you're kind of headed in the right direction and that you're actually stepping out of your comfort zone. I would say that if you're not failing enough, it just means that you're not trying hard enough, and you're probably not trying new things, which means that you're not going to grow and continue to make progress in anything that you do. Okay, so coming in at number 9, I have to be yourself. I think this is one of the best things that you can do for yourself and your business as a professional photographer. I feel like, especially when you're new, you may try to model, another person or someone that you see online, and you may even notice that you're just not being yourself. You're just not being your true, authentic self. And this is something that I struggle with. It was like, just noticing that I'm not being my true self. And it's not that you're being fake. It's that I think that you're trying to emulate other people too much and thinking that that's the only way, and that's holding you back from just being your authentic self. Or maybe even thinking to yourself that clients won't like you if you're not yourself, or that you're not relatable to clients. I'm just kind of saying things that kind of came to my mind. But I think it's just very important to be yourself and just understand that not every client is gonna like you. Not every person is going to vibe with you. But as you continue to do this for longer, and especially once you really understand the business that you want, get your marketing and building a strong brand, you're going to start to attract people that are just like you. So no matter what you see online and, people saying you should do things this way and that way, just remember to always stay true to yourself. All right, so the final thing that I wish I knew is to track everything. And when I say everything, I mean everything. And I'm not just talking about tax stuff. That's very important, tracking all your expenses, all those things, but also like your marketing, like tracking all those things so you can see what's working, like tracking how many leads you have, tracking how many visits you're getting to your website so you can see if your SEO is working, tracking where your clients are coming from. Are they coming from social media? Are they coming from your website, Google? Like, these are things that you need to know. And it's important to track all this stuff, besides taxes, all the other stuff, because it's going to help you make better decisions. You're going to be making informed decisions instead of just guessing and thinking that something is working when in reality, it may not even be working because you're not tracking the numbers and actually looking at the numbers. And if you are a new photographer and you want to learn more about photography, clients, all that stuff, be sure to check out the playlist on the screen. It's going to be on one of these sides. Subscribe to my channel if you're interested in more content like this, and I will see you in my next video.